I've been on a bit of a Swiss Army knife kick here lately. The other day we did a review on their hiker model. Today we're going to look at the knife that I think is far superior for my little outdoor excursions. We're going to look at the Swiss Army Huntsman. Let's check it out. When I bought this hiker knife, I was really excited about it. Thought I was going to really dig it. I was looking for something that's a little bit smaller footprint than this knife. You can see it is one row fewer tools in here, so it's a little bit thinner. But having said that, there are 3 tools on this knife that are not in this knife, which makes this one my preference. Now you'll notice this one has the ruby scales on it. You pay a little bit more for these. I think with the normal sort of red scales like this one, I think you can pick this knife up with these scales for about $35, $37, somewhere in the neighborhood. When the ruby scales on there, and they've got several different options on the scales, it goes up to about 60 bucks. And just like all of their knives, it comes with this little key ring on here, which makes it super easy because, quite honestly, one of my biggest challenges is always keeping up with the Swiss Army knives. So I hook this one onto my key ring from here, makes it nice and simple to keep up with. Additionally, and you can see that insert through these ruby scales, it's our normal little set of nice, fine, really sharp tweezers that comes standard with all of their knives, at least the vast majority of them. And we're going to flip it over here, and we have the embedded toothpick. I did think about replacing this. I know they've got a couple of options with a longer ferro rod in here, but I kind of like actually having the little toothpick. Now, obviously, you're noticing something that looks really a little bit odd and sticking out here, and that is this little colorful shim through here. These are the little Firefly fire lighting kits that twist out. So you have a tender section down here and a small ferrocerium rod up through here that just seats right inside there. And this corkscrew is one of the tools that I miss on here. I got this one thinking the screwdriver would come in handy in more of an urban setting, and it does. I do actually use this from time to time. I've never been in the woods and accidentally forged a wine bottle and needed the corkscrew, but I do like that it makes it nice and simple to carry some of this tinder with the ferrocerium rod. But then also this does come in handy for picking out knots and stuff. Don't use it a ton for that because most of the knots that I'm putting in, even when you put them under a load, they're easy to take out. But I did miss having the ability, with the screwdriver, I missed having the ability to carry my little tinder bundles in here. Let's put this back in there. Yes, and this tinder is just it's just waxed over, so it sits right down in there. And then while we're in here, look really closely inside here, inside that little pinhole, because there is a in the newer handles, in the newer scales, there's a hole inside here to store a straight pin. So have that down inside there. Some of the knives come with straight pins, most of them do not, but if they've got that little hole in there, I'll all hold one. It is about a 1 1/4 inch hole through here before you hit it, so it has to be a relatively short pin, but that does work pretty well for pulling out splinters and things like that. Now, flipping over to the other side of the bottom, I'm just going to stick around the bottom here and finish it out. So we've got the little awl over here, which is relatively sharp. This works good for making like gear repairs, especially into like leather and things like that. You got the little room for the sewing thread here. Use this more often than not just to kind of wallow stuff out, but it does work pretty well for gear repair. Works pretty well for getting under your fingernails too. Then the last tool on the very bottom, this one's sometimes a little bit difficult to get out, and I use this one actually more than I thought it would be. It's a little parcel hook. We're not in the days of having to carry parcels and stuff. What it does work really well at is grabbing those tough to remove tent stakes that are in the ground and plucking those things out. A little parcel hook. Now before we move to the top of the tool, I told you guys earlier I missed 3 tools from this knife on this one of which was the corkscrew, the second of which was this parcel hook, because again that comes in super handy. That third one is going to be up here, and it is right here in the middle, and we'll go ahead and pluck it out. And this is probably the one that hands down I missed the most, and it's just these little crisp sharp scissors. I really didn't think it'd be that big of a deal with this hiker not having the scissors. This thing's been a pain in the rear because I use these things all the time. Okay, so let's do some quick measurements of this knife. So really quickly, completely closed up. This knife is a little over 3.5 inches. And right here, it's about 3/4 inches wide. So you can see it's definitely a bit wider than this one by about 1/4 inch. So in addition to that, just like on the hiker, we've got our bottle opener, large flathead screwdriver with the wire stripper. You should be able to hear this. It's not a true locking mechanism, but these things are snug and they kind of click into place and hold really well. And then on the other side, we've got the can opener with the small flathead screwdriver. Same thing with these. You hear they click and lock into place. Well, you can hear them click into place. They don't lock, but. And then as we move to the other side, we have the little short blade, which is about 1.5 inches. I almost never use this blade because I like knowing I have one dedicated one that is sharp at all times. And then opening it up, then we've got the bigger blade. This is the one that I'm typically using. And this one is going to come in at right at about 2.5 inches long. These tools are all stainless. The very typical blades you get with these guys. They come pretty darn sharp right out of the box. And then the last tool on here, and this is one that I use pretty darn frequently, and this one that's always a must on my Swiss Army knives. It's this little crisp, very aggressive saw. Not going to be doing a huge, batch of wood processing, but for doing small stuff like notching and little branches and limbs and stuff, you're just trying to be relatively crisp and not just break off. This little thing works like a champ. I think they have probably one of the better small saw blades out there. All right, you guys, as you can see, this little knife, it has a ton of options in it, a ton of different features. It gives me a plethora of tools I can use on any outdoor outing. This has been hands down my carry companion for all of my hikes and stuff lately, at least for the last probably 2 years. This has been hands down my choice for the ultimate outdoor companion knife. It just has all the features. It's got all the bells and whistles. It checks all of the boxes. And it's not bad price. Like I said, I've seen them with just standard red scales for like $38. That's not a bad price for all the features that come with this knife. Now, as far as these little Firefly fire kits, these do come in a 3-pack. I think it was $20 for 3 of them. It's 3 sets of tinder, 3 little ferro rods, and they just kind of screw in there. It's kind of a good little backup. I don't go planning on it, but I know I always have at least one relatively simple fire with me. So if you guys are interested in this knife or even the Firefly, go through and check out the links in the description below. I will give you a tip. So you can go through and from Amazon, you can order the little bitty Victorinox sells these little straight pins. It is $8 for 2 of these little pins. Go to Walmart and you can buy a pack of 250 of them. And they're exactly the same thing, and they cost about $2.50. Don't spend $4 on a needle. That's just downright crazy. And hopefully you found this little quick review useful. Like you said, if you're looking for something to go through that gives you a bunch of options, I think this knife is a solid hit. And as always, if you're out on the trail right now watching this video, just remember, left foot, right foot, repeat. We'll see you out there soon.